The reality of life is that we cannot have a situation of hopelessness. So even though there are numerous elements of this is going to be a tragedy for one and all, extinction most probably, the reality is we do need to understand that there are options that we can take. There are options like world law to remove leaders from the power to create armies and make them mercenaries by attacking other nations. You can simply do that with a Bill of Rights for soldiers. There are, options for, ending university decides everything. There are options for, the end of the cult religion that university is God. We just simply refuse to allow it. There are, options for stopping all the commuting that people do. Yes, I know you don't want to do anything, but the reality of it is that you have to do things. You have to do what the earth needs for you to do, or you will be extinct. So let's just discuss some miscellaneous things. We have to stop the commuting by making you live next to where you work, or making where you work next to where you live. There isn't, the idea that everybody can drive 50 miles or whatever it is a day to go to work is not valid. It's not true. It's not real. And, you can give reductions or whatever to people who live close so that they don't drive. You have to create things so that people have a choice. It's like recycling. Even though the people who are in charge, your former classmates say recycle, they don't give you the option to recycle. Say don't throw batteries away, but if you don't throw them in the trash, they pile up in the corner, and eventually you'll throw them in the trash because there is no place to put them other than the trash. So every form and every part and everything of what the people who have controlled our nation and controlled our world have been doing is invalid and a cost to human life and the planet and everything else. They are wrong. They know they're wrong. They're, even if they have maybe a decent idea, maybe, they enforce it poorly because the fact is power wants power and power doesn't want any change. Because if you change those things that are in power, you take away the power from those who have it and give it to somebody else. And they don't want to do that. Same is true for every university. The U of I over here in Urbana gets a 0 for good behavior because they have absolutely no valid excuse for why transportation across the campus is completely lost. There is, no parking. There is too many cars. There is just nothing there to validate the idea that they're doing anything for life or society or the world. It's simply invalid. They don't do it. They don't want to do it. And they won't do it because it costs money, and if it costs money, it takes money away from their toys and their trinkets and their trophies. And that's all that's important to the 98% of all humans on Earth. I want what I want, and that's all I want, and there is nothing else. So we're going to go back to the idea that there has to be solutions for how to transport people to and from work and create a situation where we're not reliant on automobiles. And that doesn't really include busing so much as it includes the idea that, we have to isolate the places where busing actually works for us as a world. There is, an endless amount of things. We can't irrigate lots of crops. We can't transport lots of cargo across oceans. We can't. It's invalid. It doesn't work. It is utterly the fault of university, the people who are in control, who have made it that way, saying that we don't have to care about nothing. We don't have to, there are no consequences to us. Let the people who charge us less build everything and transport it over here on ships, and let's transport that from one end of the nation to the other to the other coast, and let's just do everything that is invalid and false. And of course that includes, well, we'll just loan them the money to do it. But of course they can't loan the money unless they have the money, and if you're not manufacturing anything or doing anything, you're not gaining any money. So they counterfeit the money. So we have to end the counterfeiting. We have to move all manufacturing to a local level so that we have what we need where we need it, and that's the end of it. And that's the best that we can do. And we have to move from irrigating enormous amounts of farmland to irrigating planters on buildings and things that will help us create the food that we need to eat. We have to create collecting the rainwater to irrigate those plants, and just all kinds of things, using gray water in buildings to irrigate those plants. And we have to do what we have to do in order to survive. In other words, you don't get to be what university has promised, which is players of any game that you want to play, no matter what. We have to be real living things on earth that actually make a difference to, we actually have to produce the things that we need, and we need to remove the impediment of university diplomas to do that, as is constant with the war. In war times, in the past at least, there have been major improvements in certain things because you remove the damn diploma out of the way and let the best idea work. And so you can't have people who want all the power. You can't have people who want all the power for themselves, even if they believe without question that they're God. They are not God. They don't know. They're failures. Look at the evidence of our world. We stand on the edge of extinction. They are failures. And failures mean we have to make different decisions for ourselves. We have to create laws for ourselves. We have to do what we have to do in order to survive. And we have to be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. And to be part of the solution, we have to engage in what the solution might be. Not rely on the people who are, the problem. We have to create the solution that is the solution. Not the people who talk and talk and talk and declare themselves, you owe us $1 billion for a 2-hour job. But the people who actually are going to do the work and who are actually going to make a difference for life and world and the things that we need. There isn't much of a university that has value, but there are things that do have value, and we need to separate out what has value from what does not. We need to separate out what is a threat from what is not. We need to understand what the cost of energy is, and we need to insulate homes and buildings and everything else so that we don't overextend what is this earth. It's a finite place. It's not your forever whatever thing you want. It is a finite place. And with 8.2 billion people, which is basically one person on every acre of agricultural land that produces anything, we have to be very careful about what we do, or we're going to die. We're going to create our own hell, and it will extinguish our lives. It will become extinction. So we have to protect the water supplies. No more bottled water. You can't have bottled water. The bottles are a tragedy. As simple as that. The bottles are a tragedy. You cannot have bottled water anymore, which means you have to protect your water supply. Not just say that I don't have to worry about it, I'll just go somewhere else. That's a problem that was created in the past 50 years. Well, I'll just go get more. Well, no, you won't. You will not go get more, because we are so many people right now. And so many things right now that you can't do that. You have to accept the reality that, life has changed. The world has changed. We have so many people that it has changed. And if you think you're going to, you want to commit suicide and just get out and leave it behind, okay, go ahead. But the rest of us are not going to do that. And we know that. So we have to deal with the reality of who we are and what we're doing or not doing. And that means that we have to do things like stopping ethanol production, because it is not gaining anything for this world, and we have to stop the use of fertilizers beyond what is reasonable and limited, so that the use of fertilizers will remain a possibility for decades to come, rather than ending at some point soon and killing off the future, because we need them for create bigger crops. We need to stop the damn geneticists in every conceivable way, and those creating seed complications. You can't let them continue, because it will end in a pandemic for seed across the entire planet. And like I say, if they do much more to corn in particular, they're going to create a situation that is a pandemic for all grasses. And grasses include wheat and oat and beans, or not beans, but wheat and oat and grasses that livestock feed on, and everything, rice, all of it is a grass that is very susceptible to a disease that's going to be opening the door, because you change the genetics. And while you might say, oh well, we really benefited from that, the end result is that if you go past the point of no return, it kills off the entire world. And of course, we have to remove every single biological agent that can be used for warfare, can be used and mutilated to be a catastrophe to us. We have to change the genetic, everything about the university. I don't think there's one thing that it can be left as a university without change. It has to be changed. It doesn't matter if you think that they're a god or not. You are the cult. They've been indoctrinating you since you were a child. You are their cult. You are a believer. And the worst thing in the world, in real human terms, is to be a believer. Not because it's a religious thing, because you want what you want, and that's all that you want. And it doesn't matter what you want. You don't want what you don't want. You want what you want. And that's a believer. So you bury you hide in a little prison cell inside your own little mind and say, nobody gets to change this. No evidence, no truth, nothing matters. Nobody gets to change this. But of course, that removes the possibility that you might learn this is a bad idea. You can't learn that, because even if you drag them out the door, they're going to rush back in there with truth. They'll rush right back in there, because now they're afraid. So you have to let the evidence decide. I'm not your leader. I am, in fact, trying to lead you to law, so that law can be your leader. But I'm not your leader. I'm not going to decide things for you, because, you have to live what you decide. You have to live it. You don't get to play games. The game is over. Even though everybody says, the game is over. So, we have to accept the fact that there is going to be change in this world, well, one way or the other. It's not going to remain the same. There is going to be change in this world. Whether it's to life or to death is your choice. But there is going to be change in this world, because there are too many people for any other direction to go. And, the fact that you don't like that doesn't make any difference at all. Whether you even believe that doesn't make any difference at all. Reality will choose. Truth will decide whether you live or die. And truth doesn't care about what you want. It absolutely does not care about what you want. It doesn't care about what the universities fantasize or delude themselves into believing. It doesn't matter what religion says. Truth will decide what is going to be true, what the law demands. And of course, that we put it in terms of death, and death is the entry into truth. It's nothing less than that. Time is a body, and a body has a measured existence. It cannot be eternal. It's time. Time has an ending. But life, on the other hand, is something else. And it is a truth that does survive. Truth survives. And so your life, your truth, is going to enter its own environment. And in that environment, you're going to either, live, uh, or be removed, or go to the opposite end of what life can be. So, nonetheless, uh, 10,000 different choices to make, and we can make many that will benefit us and extend the life of time on Earth. We have to go out to the ocean and pick up all that pollution. We have to stop poisoning. We have to protect the water supplies because they can be completely destroyed. We have to do everything needed to survive as a planet. You say, you tried to do something. Well, you're taking me with you. And everything that I love with you, or genetic mutilation of life.